The honor of serving as the Fairfield District Supervisor for the Henrico County Board of Supervisors. This is my 16th month after eight years on the school board. And so I'm truly honored for y'all to come tonight. This is our first Fairfield Forum of the year. And we're excited that y'all are here, those who watch online and those who are with us in person. This is going to be an exciting night. I'm really happy. We've got a lot of our great staff persons with us today. And we have our top staff person, our county manager. And I want to say before I bring him up that John Vitokis has just been awarded Virginia-based executive, demonstrates remarkable leadership skills, integrity, value, vision, and community engagement. Almost every night of the week, he attends meetings like this to interact with our constituents and share updates on our county. So we're happy to have him here today. He's one of 3 in the entire state. There are almost 150 counties or cities in the state, and he's one of 3. So can we welcome our county manager, Mr. John Vitokis, comes.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. For those of you, I think the recognition that he alluded to just is a case in point that anyone can win an award at any time. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you this evening about your county budget. And so if you would roll up, so for those of you that don't know, I've been with the county since January of 1997. I was appointed the county manager in August of 2012 and took the seat in January of 2013, worked on a 6-month transition period with my predecessor who served this county with distinction for years. So my background was in finance, the budget, all things financial in the county. These have become somewhat second nature to me. Over the years, we've had a lot of budgetary ups and downs, a number of economic cycles. And I will tell you straight up that right now, some of the things that I'm seeing from the federal government, I've never seen in my career. But Henrico is well positioned, and we will do everything that we can to navigate the ups and downs that we are seeing coming from the federal level. But this budget there was a theme to it, and we budget our revenues incredibly conservatively. So if we think we're going to get $1 and we think that funding source, i.e. the state, this next year is going to be challenged because of layoffs in Northern Virginia and the federal workforce, we take a lot of caution in how we budget those revenues. So we might budget 85 cents of every dollar. And so tax relief was also a priority, conservative revenues, but overall, the general fund budget of the county is fairly straightforward. About 35% of it comes from real estate tax, one revenue. Then about 36% comes from state and federal revenues. The federal component, and what you're looking at here is the general fund. The federal component in the general fund is very small. Where we do have a lot of federal revenue coming in is through grants and in some revenues for schools. The largest beneficiary of state revenue in our county is our school system. And then everything else that we have within the county, all other local revenues, you name it, all the other taxes, all the other fees, building permit fees, interest on our investments, that makes up 30%. On the expense side, this budget was pretty straightforward. The board approved a budget where over 82% of the growth in the budget went to 2 areas. It went to our school system, and it went to public safety. And if you look at how the budget is divvied out, schools coming in at 59%, public safety 22.7. I'm sorry, this is the overall budget growth. But if you look at schools and public safety, on any given year, about 78, 79, 80 cents out of every dollar is spent in those 2 areas. But we do have a lot that is going on countywide. So this budget was premised on the fact that we have 130,000 plus homes in the county, a lot of 25,000 businesses, and all those entities pay taxes. And we have seen what is happening with the supply of housing right now. If you are in the market to buy a new house in Henrico County, there's less than a month of inventory available, and that's driving up assessments and home prices. So this year, the board adopted again a tax reduction in the real estate tax rate to take us to 83 cents. When I started with the county, that tax rate was 98 cents. And if you go back to 1979, the tax rate was $1.07. So if you look at throughout the nation, all of the counties, all of the cities, I don't think there are many that can say there has not, on the tax rate, been a rate increase for 50 plus years. And that's what you're seeing in Henrico. But the board challenged us as well, because not everyone owns a home. Some folks rent, and the real estate taxes are paid by the company that owns place they rent, or the owner. And so we have 350,000 vehicles in the county. All of those have had a reduction in that tax from $3.40 to $3.35. And I mentioned the 25,000 businesses. So all of them also got a reduction in the business personal property, and we normalized it at $3.35 for both individual vehicles and businesses. Boats are included in that. And so between all the homes, all the businesses, and all of the vehicles, this is the most significant tax rate reduction, if you will, that I have seen in my time since coming to the county in 1997. And because typically we'll look at real estate tax, or we'll look at another tax to see what we can do to lighten the load. But there also was a tax rate increase, and that was in data centers. At White Oak Tech Park, right near Sandston, off 60, we have a technology park that used to have a semiconductor facility that employed 3,500 people. Right now, we have some of the fastest internet speed. We have the fastest internet speed in the world that is available at White Oak Tech Park, because there are these subsea cables that come from Spain, they come from Europe, they come from Africa, and they come from South America. And the first place they go is Virginia Beach. You cannot build a data center at Virginia Beach because it's considered in the hurricane zone. And so the first place in the world that exists is this tech park at White Oak. And we have done well with data centers, and they are starting to generate significant revenue. Initially, when they first came in, our first big data center was Facebook. They built the largest data center literally in the world in White Oak, and then they doubled it. So when they came in, we offered them a reduced rate as an incentive. And now this budget, really with the proliferation that we have of data centers, and we don't expect them to go beyond White Oak. The board's actually considering an action where we keep the data centers that we have confined to that technology park, with the exception of a few that have been rezoned. So when you add all of that up, when you look at our tax rate burden, we're in the orange right there. You've got a number of other localities, the 10 largest localities in the Commonwealth. This is their monthly residential tax burden, as we call it. We have the lowest real estate tax, and then we have no taxes on a number of other things that other localities tax. For instance, if you need to go to the hospital, Henrico is not going to send you a bill so you can ride in an ambulance. All these other localities will. They'll bill your insurance or bill you. And then we don't have a stormwater tax, which is often referred to as a rain tax. I think there was some consideration in the city, some consternation with this last budget proposal where that was being adjusted as well. And that's a tax that basically measures the impervious land on your that you own, and basically taxes you based on that, how much of that land is a driveway or is a roof. And localities do it throughout the Commonwealth. We do not. So Henrico, when you look at outside of K-12, our teachers and our public safety, police, fire, we have in every area the most efficient units, whether it's recreation and parks or finance. And again, the intention with police officers, firefighters, and teachers is to not worry about efficiency, but worry about the effectiveness. And so we have, in most cases, fewer employees than other localities doing the same work. So we have the board has made a concerted effort to pay those employees more. And this year, 6% salary increase for all Henrico County general government and school employees, with some market adjustments that were made for custodians, maintenance staff, and instructional assistants that we do from time to time. So Dr. Amy Cashwell, and Reverend Cooper, you were on the board for 8 years. She's my third superintendent. I can honestly say of the three, two were really, really good. The first one I worked with was a little difficult, but in all of that time, the approach has always been to fund our schools, and good things will come community-wise. And this budget fully funds the school system budget request. We have one of the first initiatives for youth mental health in schools called CARES, where every middle schooler and high schooler and their families will have access to mental health telehealth services. You're seeing additional security. We have 142 different languages that are spoken in our schools, so additional positions. Now they call it ELL. When I was growing up, it was called ESL, and I was an ESL kid because my parents emigrated here with me as a baby. My first language was not English, it was Greek. And in New York City, they actually had teachers that would speak to you in your native tongue, and then for half a day, and then in the afternoon, you would learn English. And then we have a number of other efforts. Expanded elementary school. We have a significant project happening at the Academy at Virginia Randolph, where we will have an elementary school and high school presence, 52 positions there. This is a elementary school that will serve some of our hardest to serve autistic kids that are often placed out of the county in private providers, and we are aiming to compete with the best of the best there with this facility. Bungalow City, new firehouse, and you'll see Firehouse 23, 13 new fire positions there. We are also working on the replacement of Firehouse 1. That property, the new firehouse, will be located on property that it was part of the Raceway property, and we have had a time really trying to locate that facility, but have finally secured it, and you'll see that coming out of the ground in 26. I don't have to tell you about some of the incidents that we've had with pedestrian safety in the county, in the region, in the nation. If you don't have a WOA vest, those reflective vests, I think we're up to, we may be at 55,000 that we have passed out. Every school child is getting a vest. You're seeing things like street lights come out of the ground, or you will. We've had a difficulty in Henrico. If you are on a numbered road, that road is actually owned by the state of Virginia. I think of Staples Mill, Patterson, Broad Street, Brook Road, all of those. So we're working with the Commonwealth in an effort to take on those roads. We get paid by the number of lane miles that we manage. We're one of 2 counties in the state that do our own roads. But if we want to put up a crosswalk on a county road, we can do it in a weekend. If we want to put up a crossroad on a state road, it'll take a year to get through the VDOT juggernaut, if you will. So we are in active conversations to do that and hopefully be able to make some more pedestrian improvements. Infrastructure enhancements, our budget is heavy on infrastructure. I know Alvin will talk about water and sewer. We have a very heavy budget when it comes to utilities. Juvenile court renovation, you'll see some things internal, like all the county vehicles are fueled at county fuel sites. Counties don't pay fuels taxes, so we need to upgrade some of those pumps and whatnot. A lot of IT infrastructure in this county. If you think of all the technology, think about every time you call 911, or think about every time you pick up your phone and want to look up a county service. We're trying to do everything that we can to make the services even more efficient. Things like a jail management system that our sheriff needs to be able to manage all of the needs, medical, food, you name it, within our jails. And you'll see also security enhancements in county parks that involve things like cameras in areas that are not very well lit, or folks walk all over. And we had an incident at a park near my house that kind of triggered this in Old Glen Allen. And so, and things like opening and closing gates. We have employees that go, and open and close gates. Those things can be automated, and we're working on that. And then the last thing I'll touch on before I get into the capital budget is I mentioned the economic difficulty, what we all see in the markets, what we see when the word tariff comes up, which is not, has not been historically an economic tool. And so we have no experience with tariffs. And my career goes back many, many years. So we don't know what that does to an economy, how long they will last. So as we adopt the budget, our school system and our general government is going through an effort where we're going to be trying to generate the value of a penny on the real estate tax rate, which is $6 million on the general government side, and also doing that with the school system, again, looking for $6 million. Now, $12 million in permanent cost savings, that's going to be a good thing, but please keep in mind and have the perspective. We have a $1.3 billion budget. If we can't get to $12 million on any given year, then we're not really doing a whole lot. The year that COVID hit, the administration presented a budget to the Board of Supervisors in early March. 2 weeks later, after COVID became apparent, we had to go back and we cut that budget by $100 million. We didn't lay anybody off, but we have that kind of ability on the financial side because of the way that we manage your money. The capital budget, very robust. We take care of our infrastructure. This is everything in schools. Think about water and sewer, IT. We have some affordable housing efforts. DPW, public safety, roads, all things roads. And so you're seeing by department, the largest funded area is in our water and sewer infrastructure. Again, a lot that we do. We just are filling the state's largest reservoir in Cumberland County. And that was a $250 million project that we did over a series of years. But Henrico County residents and businesses will always have water because of that facility, and we have the ability to draw from the James River. And then you'll see by funding source a very robust effort. Most localities, it's either debt, some sort of public debt, or a little bit of dedicated funding from other units of government like the state. Our school system, $61.5 million. You'll see a number of efforts, renovation of a middle school in Brooklyn. Remember when roofs and mechanicals, we were allocating $2.5 million a year. That is now $16 million a year. Meals tax reserve, that takes care of many, many small capital projects on the school side. And then planning and design of a new Fairfield Elementary School in the Virginia Center Commons. You'll see things like school buses, technology improvements, and then things like playground equipment that if you consider 72 different schools, there are a lot of facilities. Public safety, because I mentioned Firehouse One. You also see this year a new animal adoption center being designed. This is in the Three Chop district, a property that the county acquired over years, but that is intended to be a no-kill shelter. It's purely adoptions, and it'll be run and managed by the Henrico Humane Society in a public-private partnership. Fire apparatus, those fire trucks cost a lot of money. One is over $2 million now, but we are planning on $5.3 million for fire apparatus replacement, $3.5 million for all of the police apparatus. Recreation and parks, $2 million countywide facility rehabilitation. What that means is things like gazebos, picnic, think bridges, think all of the facilities that we have and how varied and diverse they are. And that is an annual effort. We do have a project in Verona for deep bottom boat landing. Dory Park is getting a spray park restroom. And we have a new project for trails. If you are a walker in county parks, we have many trails. They're absolutely amazing. I walk many mornings when my hip is not acting like it is right now. But so that's a new effort to make sure that all the trails are kept up to date, $1 million a year. Environmental initiatives. When I started with the county in 1997, this was not even a consideration. Environmental initiatives were the work of the federal government, maybe every now and again the state. But if we don't do something locally to make sure that we continue to take care of changing environmental conditions, then we're not going to be a place that people are going to want to live, work, play, and visit. A lot of bond drainage improvements that came about from the most recent referendum, compliance with our Chesapeake Bay permit. This is something that most localities fund through a stormwater tax. This is all pay-as-you-go cash funding in the county budget. You see us in wetlands and streams. We have created the first public wetland mitigation bank in the Commonwealth, and this is where we need wetland credits for county capital projects, and oftentimes we have to go out and buy those in the market, and the market is just, it is incredibly lucrative for, I guess it's investors that buy these things and then sell credits. We are creating our own using and improving our own wetlands. Things like residential BMPs, we never got into. A number of years ago, 3-4 years ago, the board decided, homeowners and homeowner associations, defunct homeowner associations, it's just too much weight. And if we do it incrementally and over time, we'll take care of all of the BMPs in the county. Creeks and streams erode, and we have efforts there, dam repairs, and then a newer effort called HEART that many employees and many members of the community are part of. This is an environmental initiative where we are planting, I think this fall, or this spring, we have 7,000 trees that are being planted. Things like making sure that motion sensors and doing everything that we can to save cost and do things that benefit the environment. Pedestrian safety, I mentioned earlier, those that WOA vest, if you don't have them, please get them. They're here, okay. And we have them for kids too. You'll see a lot of sidewalk. You'll see $27.5 million in countywide road projects. We are going into road paving season, so you're going to see a lot of asphalt this year as well. On the capital side, we do have things like a new social services building. We have, if you've been on our western campus, our social services building, we have folks working 2 and 3 to an office, and the services are just continuing, so we need to take care of that. You'll see the juvenile courts renovation and then a number of other efforts. The bigger story this year was, and Alvin will mention it with his report on the water crisis that we had. So a number of years ago, Henrico County entered into an agreement with the city of Richmond. And we did this because Henrico wanted to build a water treatment plant. We used to get all of our water from the city. And we did build a water treatment plant in the western portion of the county, and the county slopes. I don't know if you all are aware, but and so had to go through all sorts of approvals to get this plant situated. We did, and the arrangement with the city was we would continue to purchase water from them through the year 2040. And we've never had a problem with water in all that time period. But the water crisis did show us that we have limitations because of the model that we operated on. We have water that goes countywide, but in certain areas, it's only coming in from the city. So how do we increase resiliency? And the decision, after the water crisis, the board hired a consultant, made a series of recommendations, and we decided to implement one immediately, which is to increase the resiliency of the size of the pipes, if you will, in eastern portions of eastern Henrico, because the water crisis showed us that we could pump water from the west to the east, but we get to a point where the pipes are smaller, and physically it's not possible to push water through that straw. Zay and Laburnum is where the pinch point was. And so we are starting a project to increase the resiliency of those water transmission mains. At the same time, we're working with the city of Richmond to see what we can do as a region to help them with the water treatment plant, which we're going to rely on for a number of years, regardless of how long it takes to increase the resiliency of those water lines, which 5, 6, 7 years is the current estimate. So that $50 million is in essence a placeholder, one of 6 more payments that we will make to do that. That's a significant investment, but it's something that the board said day one. Number one, don't let this happen again. And number two, how do we fix it? So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I have as far as the budget overview. Sewer, you can see a significant effort. We spent a lot of money to put pipes in the ground and then cover them up, but we are incredibly fastidious when it comes to maintaining the infrastructure of the county. So at this point, Mr. Cooper, you sure. I don't know if anyone has any questions for me. I'll be around throughout the presentation, but any questions on what you saw budget-wise or tax-wise? Any comments, thoughts? Yes, ma'am.
With the sewer plant, where is that location supposed to be in Henrico County, Eastern?
So the sewer plant is off of Kingsland Road. It's in far deep Varina.
Oh.
And if you think about the way that the county slopes naturally, sewer plant had to go where gravity feeds a lot of what that plant receives. But it's located. Did that answer your question? Off of Kings.
The new one is going to be there too.
Say again.
The new one you said you're going to do on the slide before that. That one you said you're going to do a new plant somewhere. The one before that.
No, ma'am. What I said was that we're going to be increasing the size of some of the water transmission lines that come into Fairfield and Varina over a period of the next 5, 6 years.
It's underground. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Anytime we can get a tax break is great. We appreciate you presenting the budget and let us hear where the dollars are going. But there's a program within the county, the REAP program, and we know that would assist us in our real estate taxes. One of the concerns that we have is that the program begins at age 65. We've got some residents who've been trying to get it addressed, to get it changed to age 62 to align with the opportunity of getting your Social Security check at 62 as well.
Sure.
We have reached out to Senator Bagby with no response on several occasions. So we understand that issues start locally. So we're coming back to you, County Manager. How can we get this thing pushed back to the General Assembly so they can make a decision on us? Because if we can get this program started at age 62, it would benefit a lot of us.
So absolutely. Right now we have over 9,000 people that participate in REAP. We have another program called RECAP. And the RECAP program, if you have assets of $700,000 or less outside of the value of your home, and you are in that age range of 65 plus, your taxes can be frozen, and there's no impact on the payer. REAP, actually, you pay no taxes. So the 65 is a state code requirement. You're absolutely right. The only way we can change it is through the General Assembly. Now, I've also had some conversations with Senator Bagby, and he was supportive of the concept. I just don't know in the environment that, the General Assembly, how much support that proposal would obtain, but I know the board has talked about it. I think you'd have support of the Board of Supervisors. I don't see a financial implication from that determination, because what they have tried to do is get as many people and households into REAP or recap as possible. But I can follow up with the senator's office as well. But to me, he seems supportive of the concept.
Yes, County Manager. I didn't see it as you were going through your report, but a lot of emphasis was put on recreation and parks. But there's one thing that I didn't see it mentioned, and that was the summer program for children, the PAL program. Now, for the last 3 years, that program has been so crowded that we have kids during the summer with very little structured activity. And that is a problem that's been going on for quite at least 3 years that I know of. Is there anything that we can correct that and have the opportunity for children to enjoy activity structured?
So thanks for asking that. There's so many components to the budget that I can't cover them all in a 15-minute time frame. But one of the things that the board asked for, they do a retreat once a year. And it was exactly this: what can we do for programming for kids in the summer? And so we expanded the number of sites that Rec and Parks does free, and expanded the hours, because the hours were not convenient if you worked an 8-hour day. And so you'll see more information on that, but it's a pretty significant expansion between that and PAL, and some things that we're thinking about also with even the Sports and Event Center, be able to do some mini camps. I think you'll see more and more of that. But thank you.
Sir, yeah. So a lot of us are in take happening at federal level. One of the things that I love about being instructed from so much of our population, many services. What is the
So you're not going to see an impact of the top 100 things on my mind. Libraries and federal funding it's not. If there's a grant or two that we get from time to time, that's not going to make an impact on operations. We fund libraries. Where my worry is more so on the school side. And some of the, like school lunches, for instance, are federally funded. And, the board made it, we've had many conversations. What is the biggest worry if federal funding is reduced in schools? It's kids being able to eat. And, we as a county will figure that out if it does, if something like that does occur. And I see Mr. Young here. We have the ability to be somewhat flexible. But again, I go throughout my career. It's not a political statement. It's a mathematical fact. We've just not seen this kind of topsy-turviness when it comes to federal funds being dispersed. Anyone else? All right. Well, listen, y'all. Thank you very much. And Victoria, you've got someone you want to introduce? All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Manager. Next, we're going to have an update about the Henrico County water crisis that we endured in January by our Assistant Director of Public Utilities, Mr. Alvin Christian.
Good evening, everyone. I do not have a slide presentation because I want to be able to just talk to you about what's going on and have a dialogue as much as you guys want to have a dialogue. So let me start by talking about Cobbs Creek a little bit, the facility that the manager is talking about. About 10 years ago, the board and the manager's office saw fit that we would set up a facility that would guarantee our water resiliency for the next 50, 75, or 100 years. So with that, land was purchased and about 1,200 acres is going to be used to build a 14.8 billion gallon reservoir. To give you an idea of how much water that is, that's about 36 Olympic-sized swimming pools, or over 36 Olympic-sized swimming pools. What that does is it allows us to, in times of drought, everybody has been here during water restrictions and stuff like that. We tell you, you can't water on Monday and Wednesday, but some of you can water on Tuesday and Thursday. And what that does is it allows us to put water back in the river, and it cuts down on our amount of restrictions that we have. And now with this water crisis that we encountered, it's going to allow us to draw more than our normal allotment because the state gave us a greater allotment. Now, the water information for the water outage can be found at henrico.gov/water-outage. That's going to allow you to see the reports, the two reports, the one about the timeline, which was done by Aqualaw, and then the one about the infrastructure and what we're looking at to kind of try to improve what's going on with the system. So when we worked with Whitman to evaluate the system, they provided three options, a low, middle, and high option. The middle option was the one that we needed to go with, which was going to provide enough water from the west to the east to ensure that you guys would get water. So the cost of this mid option is $328 million. And the board and the manager's office was gracious enough to get us started with $50 million. And this is going to allow us to do design, set up infrastructure, and begin construction process once everything is designed. We're looking at a 5 to 7 year project to get everything completed. What else do I want to say? I'm sorry. So the reservoir is located in Cumberland County. It is about 30 miles upstream of the county, but the genius of it is we did not build pipes to bring water from Cumberland to the county. We use the river as a natural conduit. So we save money on routing pipes back to the county and use the river. The increase will also allow us to bring water out here because of the way the infrastructure was set up. The water treatment plants in the west, the sewer treatment plants in the east. Now, you have to have a certain amount of distance between the two facilities. You wouldn't want us to build a water treatment plant right beside the sewer treatment plant, and then you're pulling that water out of the sewer treatment plant and putting it back into your drinking water system. So we had to make a decision to get them separated, and where it is in the west was the best location to be able to build it. But as you know, the county is very big, and to try to get water from one end to another at the time of building it was not feasible because the city already had infrastructure there. And we're looking at building like 48-inch, 30-inch pipes to try to get water from one end to the other. And we're looking at a parallel option so that the water quality remains the same and you guys don't see any impacts. But even with that, we got to make sure that we're turning water over, and we're going to put in some tanks and stuff like that just to make sure that everything is quality. So I'll take any questions on what we're doing right now as far as the water, and then I'll talk about sewer just a little bit. Huh? Oh, yes, yes, I'm sorry. Okay, and if you scan that QR code, that'll take you to the page that I was talking about with the reports. It has press releases. It has different videos that we put out, kind of letting everybody know what was going on. And if anybody's got any questions on the water, I'll take those now, and then we'll come back and talk about sewer a little bit.
Sorry. Will the water treatment facility be shared with the residents of Cumberland County?
So the way it was set up, we set it up as we initially set it up as a regional facility, and we got to a point where everybody backed out. So we built it ourselves, and that water is allocated to us. Now there is a small amount that's allocated that we can share or sell to other people, but the water is allocated to us. None is allocated to anyone else. Okay. Any other questions related to the reservoir or the water crisis? Yes, sir. Well, Cobb's is almost done. We completed Cobb's construction maybe 3 months ago. It takes about a year to fill. We're at 10.9 billion gallons in it now as we speak today. And we got to get to 14.8 before it's full. We had to use Cobb's today. We could pull water out of it. But the issue, here's the issue. It's like when we draw, the state allocates how much draw we can take out of the river, right? So we haven't affected our draw at the water plant. So the amount that we're taking out at the water plant is the amount that we're allowed to take out. We have a secondary allotment for Cobb's as we're filling. So once it's full, then we get the combined, what we can put out of Cobb's and what we can pull out of the river. Because they look at rain gauges and they look at flow gauges, and they'll come back and say, all right, you guys have taken this much today. You have to wait till the gauge gets back up to this level before you can pull again. And we might have like a week of pulling, and then we have to stop and wait a couple of days and then start up. And that's why it takes about a year to fill the whole thing. So the 5 to 7 years is to build the infrastructure to make sure that you guys have adequate flow and pressure to the county. So Cobb's will, like the manager was saying, will hit some of the ends, some of the parts of the east where the infrastructure is adequate. But, and I want to say that, I just want to say this to everybody. I hope nobody thinks that there was an imbalance between the east and the west and the way you were treated at the time that the facility was constructed. It didn't make fiscal sense to go back and rebuild pipes that we weren't going to be using because we had an obligation to purchase water from the city at that point. So it didn't make sense to take your tax money and build pipes and just leave them in the ground because we still had to pay for the allotment from the city. So we didn't have a choice. So we were kind of in a situation where this is what we got to do. And the best way to serve you and be fiscally responsible with your money is to take the water from the city and pay them and not try to do things double. Now, as far as sewer, we're working on right now working on about a $74 million nutrient expansion at the facility, the wastewater treatment facility off of Kingsland and Buffin. It will improve our nutrient removal, which means we're putting cleaner water back into the James River. So to give you an idea of what happens, we take water out of the James River in the west end of the county, off the road, treat it, clean it, send it to your home, you flush, it goes down the toilet. We treat it. The water that we put back in the river is 1,000 times cleaner than the water we take out. We're talking no bacteria, no pathogens, no anything. The only difference between it and drinking water is that we take the chlorine out so that we don't kill the fish when we put it back in the river. Yes, ma'am. The rates? Her question was, did the rates go up slightly? And I don't think they've gone up yet. July, yeah, go ahead. July 1st, right? Yes. Yes. Yeah, so we're having a 5% increase in July 1st, but the rates themselves have not gone up. So what you have to do is look at, there's a base rate, a bi-monthly base rate on your bill. If your bill has gone up slightly, look for two things. Look at last month's bill and see if your reading cycle is the same amount of days. So if you had a 58-day reading cycle last month and a 62-day reading cycle this month, your usage probably went up slightly, which is going to fluctuate your bill because you had 4 more days in the cycle. Seriously, that's if they don't all, it's not always 60 days. So you'll have one where it's 58 days. You'll have one where it's 62. Okay. All right. Does anybody else have any questions?
I have a question on WebEx, if I
Okay.
can. So it says, I live near Azalea and Laburnum and found out I can't hook up to public sewer. I am currently using an older septic tank, but when do you think the issue will be resolved? The sooner the better. I want to have it replaced. I don't want to have, I guess is what he said. I don't want to have to replace an older septic tank.
Okay. If you can get his information, I will reach out to him directly or give him my email address and have them email me, please. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
The pipes, whether they were lead pipes coming into your home.
Yes, ma'am.
So what's the progress on that? I haven't heard anything else.
So we are still testing homes as we're getting requests to come in. Once we get the testing completed, we will start with the replacement program. So I will come back and see you and get your information. Have we come out to test your home yet? Have you guys have filled out the request online to have us come? So we're not just randomly showing up. Okay. I'll come and talk to you because if you've sent it in, I'll get your information. I'll make sure that we reach out to you. If you haven't sent it in, we'll make sure you get it sent in, and we'll get in touch with you. That form is online. It's on. Go to henrico.gov/utility. Look on the left-hand side of the website. About a third of the way down, you'll see lead and copper line. So once we get a request, usually we will take 3 to 5 business days to contact the homeowner because it's not just us doing it. We also have a contractor working with us to come out and do the assessments and do the testing. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, sir. We are actually checking both. We're checking the line coming into the meter, the line on the back side of the meter, and then they will go in under your crawl space and check the pipes that are under your house. Because we want to make sure that if we don't see lead outside and lead in the yard, that we don't neglect checking under your crawl space. Because a lot of times you'll see them in a lot of older lead pipes were in the crawl space because they were easy to bend and manipulate. And so you're easy to change directions. And then when people change the lead, they change what people will easily see. And they'll tend to neglect the ones that you can't see. You go in, you buy your house, and you never know it was in there. Yes, ma'am.
Sure. Is there a build year, like come check my pipes if my house is older than 20 years or 30 years or whatever? Does this apply to like newer construction?
So 1972 was when lead, it was like 71, 72. 1971, 72 was when the lead was like outlawed from being put in your house. So if you were pre-1972, 72 and older, you definitely want to have it checked. Okay. Anything after that, if somebody put it in your house, that's just illegal and bad. And we'll talk to the chief of police, have him come on. Okay. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Is there a year where the county code required when building new communities that they could not put in lead pipes? What material were they using as of year 2005 on up today? So when they're building communities now, they cannot lay lead pipes in the street, is that right?
You couldn't put lead in from 1972. And then most recently, some of the fittings, we've gone to we even got rid of brass, probably 2018, 2019. So now everything is copper. So like all the fittings, so from the street to the meter is copper. The actual setter that the meter sits in is copper. And then after that meter, it is up to your builder to make the decision as to what they want to put in. A lot of them are running PVC. So they run PVC into the house, PVC into actually from the meter to the house, then PVC into the house. Part of that is because the price of copper has skyrocketed, and you will definitely feel that price when buying a home. You're talking 10, maybe 15,000 extra on top of the price of your house if you do all copper. And then you have to worry about, because I've heard other localities, people tell me that guys go in, they plumb the house with copper. They come back and somebody's come in and stole all the copper and just took it down and melted it down.
Okay, so county code has for the county of Henrico, there's a code.
Not the county. This is a federal law that prevents lead from being put in your house. It's a federal law.
Iron, so they're supposed to be using.
Well, no, you can use iron, but iron can be ductile iron, and we use ductile iron in our water mains. Now, you can use cast iron, you can use ductile iron, but they are not leaded steels. Ductile iron and cast iron are not steels that contain lead.
Thank you.
Okay. And ma'am, those pipes are actually lined so that the water does not come in contact with the actual steel. They're lined with the asphaltic coating so that it's coming straight. So it's disinfected, and then once the water comes through, it stays disinfected. Okay? All right, anybody else? Okay, thank you all for your time. If you've got questions, let me know. I've got cards back there.
We want to thank our assistant director. Before you go, just answer me a favor for me. Can you speak to water testing for those who feel that water has been impacted since the crisis?
Okay, yes. You can reach out to our main utilities email, and we will come out and we will sample for you. But if you're on county water, there's no need for us to come out and test. And the reason, this is why. We have 150 sites across the county that we test every month. And we've just increased that number to 180 in cooperation with VDH. So every month we test 180 sites. Every month. I just provided raw data to a gentleman yesterday over the last 3 years. And I think the last number in the spreadsheet was like 12,500. So 12,500 data points for 3 years of testing. You can still get it tested, but if you're on county water, you can rest assured that it's fine because we're testing monthly. And if you want the monthly report, we'll be willing to send that to you too. Now, this is what I will say. And we did get calls where people were concerned with cloudiness of the water. Their water came out cloudy. Now, that's a result of dissolved oxygen getting trapped in the water. And so what you have to do is if you see cloudy water, definitely reach out to us, but take a jar, fill it up, set the water on the table for 30 minutes. If the water is clear, it's just dissolved oxygen. And what we would normally do is we would come out, we'd check it for you, and then we would flush the fire hydrant as well to try to blow that oxygen out of the line. So, all right, okay, all right.
As the manager stated, each one of us on the Board of Supervisors took very serious the water crisis that impacted all of us. Mr. Nelson, Reverend Nelson, who lives in Verona, literally was on county water. He had no water the entire time. So individually, as well as those of us in the Fairfield district, and I want to thank God for my wife who's here tonight, and her and I, the entire time we're updating residents. We're out personally purchasing blankets and heaters for residents, because we wanted to make sure that we did everything could. The manager will tell you, I personally asked him to increase the number of sites for distribution of water, as well as increase the number of water we gave, and to stay open for 24 hours. And so just know, we put $300 million, as he stated, 50 million a year over a 6-year period to increase the size of the pipes. So we will have resiliency to make sure that our children do not have to experience what all of us experience. So I want to thank the manager for his presentation, and our assistant director of public works. Utilities, sorry. Quick question. There's a young lady named Shelley. Green City, since the project is not going forward, has there been any money earmarked in the budget for improvements in the Parham Road area, such as sidewalks in St. Charles, Parham Road intersection? So Green City is not dead. Green City is actually a pivot. We made sure that we didn't want to personally, as a county, borrow money to construct this area. So what we did was we partnered with a developer to develop the land, and to make sure that they partnered with us to make sure our taxpayers bore no financial burden. As a result of that, they were unable to come up with the capital that was promised, and we have since entered in the process of reclaiming the land that we sold them. So we are about to put out interest of development, that we're going to seek developers who will partner with us for arena-based development. We're still going forward with the 17,000-seat arena, which is the goal, which is the anchor of the area, mixed-use development, housing, hotels, restaurants, entertainment, residential. Really excited about it. It's transformative for generations, right there on the corridor of 95, Pyramid Brook Road. So we're still in the process of the infrastructure improvement around the area. So it is not dead, it is still alive. So hopefully, Ms. Shelley, that answers your question. Can we give Mr. Jackson, Mr. Christian, another hand, Alvin Christian, for his presentation? Thank you, Mr. Christian. So that was our water crisis, our public works, public utilities, but now we want to look at public works. We have our community rating system, Mr. Ross Weaver. He's our floodplain planner. Peter Piper picked peppers and run rock on. Floodplain planner. And then after him, somebody I've spent a lot of time with because of infrastructure, especially the Fall Line Trail, our assistant director, division director, Ms. Sharon Snidler, for pedestrian improvements and Fall Line Trail updates. So you two, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Reverend Cooper, and thank you all for coming out tonight. It's very nice to be here. So I know we have a very busy agenda, so I'll hop right in. I'm going to talk a lot about flood insurance. One of the things that we do in the county is a program called the Community Rating System that's tied into flood insurance. I'll kind of give you the context for that in a second. There's really 3 large takeaways here. One, we want to make sure you know how to find your flood risk for your property or any properties that you might be thinking about purchasing. We want to talk a little bit about some of the programs the county is doing. Henrico is very proactive in floodplain management and reducing flood risk. And then talking a little bit about flood insurance coverage, some things you might not know about, some things you should be aware of, because it's quite an expensive topic. Flood damages are by far the most expensive natural hazards that we face. So very important to be aware of all of your risks and the options that are available to you. So know your flood risk. So basically in Henrico, there's really 3 sort of larger forms of flooding that we talk about all the time. The big one is the mapped floodplains. These are our special flood hazard areas. So that is an area that has a 1% annual chance of flooding in any given year. You'll often hear that referred to as a 100-year flood. It's kind of a misnomer because you can have multiple 100-year floods in a relatively short time period. But like I said, that just gives you an idea that this specific area has a 1% chance of flooding at any given time. Now, FEMA maps out the special flood hazard area, but the County of Henrico has also built community floodplains as well, areas that also have a comparable risk to that. We also map out our dam break inundation zones. So these are areas that could be flooded if there was ever a dam failure. And then also we have obviously drainage and stormwater flooding. Those are smaller events, nuisance flooding, things that might kind of disrupt your transport, your commuting, but aren't really going to get into your homes. This just shows sort of the kind of the probability. So as you can imagine, those larger flood events are much less common, but obviously have a lot more damages associated with them. We also map out our 500-year floodplain. So that's in any given year, it has a 0.2% chance of occurring. Now, to actually find your flood risk, fortunately, Henrico's got a really great tool to do this. You can actually just Google Henrico flood zone, and this is the first image that first link that comes up. You can also go to the Public Works website. We have the link quite it's kind of spread all over the website, but like I said, Googling it is usually the easiest thing, just Googling Henrico flood zone. So this is a really simple tool. All you need is your address. You just type it in. It'll show you both the special flood hazard areas and the dam break inundation zones. So like I said, this will be just a very simple way of understanding if you have high risk, significant risk, more moderate risk, or if you're in an area that has lesser risk. Now, I will also mention that it's very important to be aware of this. You know, if you're looking at buying a home, Virginia is a buyer beware state, so there is no requirement to disclose if you are in a flood zone or if there's been any flood damage on a property that you're looking at. So we want to make sure you have all that information before you go on and make a very large investment purchasing a new property. So the county is doing quite a lot to reduce flood risk and sort of practice strong floodplain management. We've been a member of the National Flood Insurance Program since the early 1980s. So essentially that gives all Henrico residents the opportunity to purchase flood insurance. You don't have to be in one of those special flood hazard areas. You can purchase it anywhere in the county. Within the National Flood Insurance Program, there's a subset called the Community Rating System. This is a really interesting program. It's a voluntary incentive program. It essentially rewards the county for doing proactive measures, for doing more best practices in floodplain management. And those practices will kind of result in points within the system. So there's 10 classes to the Community Rating System, and the more points you get, the lower your class level is. So the nice thing about it is that every class that you sort of graduate into results in a 5% discount on your flood insurance premiums. So Henrico actually just joined the Community Rating System program in October of 2024. So we've been in it for a little bit less than a year, but we already have a class 5, which is tied for the lowest rating in the entire state. So I think that speaks volumes to how seriously Henrico takes these risks. And then for you all, it also means that you can get a 25% reduction on your flood insurance premiums. One of the nice things about that is that it's an automatic reduction. There's no paperwork to fill out. It comes off your bill automatically. So a couple of things to think about with flood insurance coverage. One, and this is I think something that a lot of folks don't realize, is that homeowners or renters insurance typically does not cover flood damage. So that's a mistake people don't realize until it's too late. And that can be a very costly lack of information to be aware of. In fact, on average, about 1 inch of flood water in your home causes about $25,000 of damage. So it's a very expensive risk to be aware of. Also important to note that if you are interested in getting a flood insurance policy, there is a 30-day waiting period. So if there's a Hurricane 5 storm coming down, it's too late to get it. Go ahead and think about these risks before big storms come, so you are prepared and you are covered. With auto insurance, you can get flood damage on your car insurance, but you just do need to have a comprehensive policy. I guess in Virginia we call it other than collision, but that's a new term to me. So if you say, for example, you've gone onto our website, you've looked at your flood risk, you're in a moderate risk zone or a lower risk zone, it's still really important to consider getting flood insurance. In fact, about 40% of all the flood insurance claims that nationwide are outside of that highest risk area. And I think more and more we're seeing large storm events and large flooding events in areas that have not flooded before. So very important to be aware of it. Just kind of see what the quotes are for you, see if it makes sense for you and your family. So now you know your risk, you've thought about insurance a little bit. How do you actually get a quote? This is another tool that's very, very simple. This is from floodsmart.gov, but by the same token, you can just Google National Flood Insurance Quote, and this is the first thing that comes up. It says that it takes about 10 minutes to complete this form. I did it as an example at my house, and it took maybe 3 minutes. Very, very simple. You enter in a little information about how many floors do you have, square footage, the materials of your property, if you have a basement, and they'll pull together a quote. Very, very simple. One thing that's really nice, you don't have to enter in, phone number or contact information. I know if you've ever tried to get a mortgage rate, sometimes you get a couple hundred calls a day from people trying to beat a quote. So there's no one's going to contact you. It's just for your own information. It's really nice. Another thing that's great about this is that you can actually adjust your deductibles. There's a slider there, so you can sort of play around with it and see if there's a quote that makes more sense for you if you have a higher deductible and want to pay a little bit lower premium. You can also get a rate for your contents coverage. So if you're a renter and you want to make sure that you're safe, that's another great way of doing that. And once you complete that, a nice thing is it's like I said, they don't automatically email you or call you. You get this quote, you can send it to your email, you can print it out, but you can also forward that directly to other insurance providers in the region. So the next screen on this will actually show some insurance providers who are in Henrico in the area. It'll also show some national providers. So you can just directly give that quote to them. And it's a very simple, streamlined way of making sure you've got the information you need. So like I say, even if you're not sure that you want to get a policy, never hurts to do this. It's very, very simple. So I recommend that quite a lot. And I mentioned, like I said, we are a buyer beware state. So this is especially important if you are looking to purchase a property in the county. So you just need to get a little more information about those properties. This is a great tool that the county has to look at real estate information. You can just Google Henrico property search. This will come up. This will show you, much more than just the property address. It'll show you the floodplain, other information about the property. Like I said, just to make sure you're all well informed and know the risks of any specific site that you might be looking at. So there is quite a lot of work going on in the county with floodplain management, with resiliency, making sure that we have a really flood prepared community, a flood smart community. We don't have time to get into all those programs, but I will stick around after this meeting. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to chat with you. Also, if you ever do have questions, you can just reach out to flood@henrico.gov is actually the best option, because that will go straight to me. I'll be happy to get in touch with you. I can yap forever about flood stuff because I find it very interesting. But that's all I've got. So I will see if there's any questions, or I don't know if we want to wait till all the public works is gone. But like I said, I'll also be around. So.
Thanks everyone for coming out tonight. Appreciate it. I wanted to fill you in what the county is doing for sidewalk, roadway, and pedestrian improvements. Just a few of the things. Wilkinson Road Bridge, there were 3 bridges. It is now complete. It is open. It opened earlier this month. Yes, thank you. Thank you for your patience. And we are excited it's open, and while it was closed, we put in some bike lanes, and there is information online if you want to watch the videos, or you can just drive it, enjoy it, or ride a bike. So also here to talk to you about the Fall Line Trail. So the Fall Line Trail, if you haven't heard about it, it's a 43-mile regional trail that'll run from Ashland to Petersburg. And there is 7.5 miles in Henrico County, mostly in the Fairfield district. And it would connect between the city of Richmond by Bryant Park, Lakeside Avenue, and run all the way north to Hanover County, the Chickahominy River crossing. So it's being built in phases. The first phase is Spring Park. That's Lakeside Avenue you see in that picture there. And we put in overhead hybrid beacons to help pedestrians cross safely, like push button activated. So that portion is complete. There are, 6 remaining phases to be done. Almost all of them are scheduled to start construction this year, with the one is 2026, the further north one. Let's see here. We've got the first one is Fall Line Trail. Second one is Lakeside Community Trail. It's going to follow a sewer easement where it's already been cleared, and it'll run from Henrico County Spring Park, and it's the orange line there, is phase 1, and it's going to cross Dumbarton Road. And so, this is like a 12-foot wide paved trail. So it can be used for walking, biking, and just to connect neighborhoods. And then we're going to look at other connector trails too, but we're trying to build the spine trail first. The yellow is phase 2, and it'll connect Dumbarton Road to the Lakeside Recreation Area. There's some ball fields there. Design is underway. This one, we're planning on starting construction this year as well. And heading further north is Lakeside 3. It's kind of turned a little bit, but it runs on the south side of Belmont Golf Course and then will touch to Hilliard Road. So design is underway, construction planned to start this year. Plan on bidding them all out together. So we have the same contractor working on them, have all the maintenance of traffic set up, and hopefully get a better price. Brook and Hilliard, looking at a roadway reconfiguration for Hilliard Road, have a crossing of Hilliard. We're going to run along the border of Belmont Golf Course and then run along the side on the grassy portion of Brook Road. And we've got funding for that, start construction this year. Keep on heading north, the turquoise here. So that by Lakeside Avenue, then you'll turn on Villa Park by the police station, and then you're going to run between St. Joseph's Villa, behind St. Joseph's Villa, and cross Harum. So planning on starting construction on that this year. Again, a 12-foot paved path for walking, biking. It's really, I think it's really exciting. The next segment is the Longdale phase using the Dominion Virginia power easement. That's the purple there. And north is running, as you can see, the north arrow running to that side of the page in purple. So working, coordinating with Dominion, being in their easement, 12-foot path. This one is construction in 2026, where a lot more parcels involved along here, and want to make sure we compensate property owners properly. The Fall Line Trail, Chickahominy River crossing. So this would connect to Hanover County. They're planning on having a ribbon cutting May 22nd. So this project is moving forward. I think it's a really exciting opportunity for Henrico. We have many projects going on in the Fairfield district. This is just some of them. This is countywide, some of what we have, the mileage of sidewalk now. What we have programmed means what's funded, and those are the mileage. And we still keep trying to find more funding. Like Reverend Cooper has been helping us with the 360 shared use path. We're working to get funding on that and coordinating with our Commonwealth Transportation Board member and VDOT. Trying to get engineering funding for that. So this is what we've got going on, and we're still looking for more. We mentioned the WOE vests. They're available at libraries. Please be visible. There's a link on police's webpage. Word on the street, if you want updates about what's going on in public works and public utilities in the county, feel free to sign up for that QR code. You can sign up specifically for the Fairfield district or whatever district you are interested in, just to get more information. There's a newsletter that goes out monthly. So, and one other thing, if you want to know about any other projects in Henrico in the Fairfield district, henrico.gov/works/projects, and you can sort by the Fairfield district or whatever district you're interested in, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ross and Sharon. Quickly, we want to bring up one of our principal planners for community development update. He's going to come, Mr. Tony Grulich. Can we give him a hand as he comes? Come on, Tony.
So good evening. As Reverend Cooper said, my name is Tony Grulich. I'm one of the principal planners in the Development Review and Design Division of the Planning Department. And I have a brief presentation to update you on some of the projects in the Fairfield District. This is a site collectively known as Green City. Reverend Cooper just covered the partnership aspect of this, and what I will cover what has been submitted to the county for review by our design staff. So a preliminary layout for 880 residential lots adhering to the proffers associated with the rezoning case was approved by the Director of Planning in June of 23. Nothing has been submitted since advising what the mix of residential types are to be proposed. The latest submittal, which you can see on the left, is for an infrastructure plan for utilities such as water and sewer, and then also for the road network. And that is currently under review. This site, collectively known as Glenwood Farms, was rezoned in August of 24 by the Board of Supervisors. The proposed redevelopment covers land from Laburnum Avenue to Harvey Road. Laburnum's on the left, Harvey's on the right. A maximum of 950 units comprised of apartments, condominiums, and townhomes are to be constructed, of which a maximum of 175 units can be age-restricted units. The first phase of the townhomes has been submitted for 121 units, and that is under review. So this is the first phase of the apartments for 392 units, and that is also under review. This includes the age-restricted component for 152 units. And this phase will also include a clubhouse fronting Laburnum Avenue. The Helios development was rezoned for apartments in April of 23, and was for no more than 186 dwelling units. The plan of development for the site was subsequently approved by the Director of Planning in August of 23. And after county review staff had no further comments on the proposal, construction plans were signed. And as I'm sure many of you are well aware, the site is well under construction. So that actually concludes my formal part of the presentation. And I'm certainly available for any questions you have now, or I'll stick around, hand out business cards at the end if you would like to talk to me then. Any questions? All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, sir.
We were grateful that we have our police chief here today, and I say this every time he comes. He's a proud resident of the Fairfield district. Can we give our Chief English a hand as he comes before us?
So I will try to keep it brief. I'm like Alvin. I don't have any PowerPoint to show you. I just want to come up here and talk and kind of let y'all know what's going on, not only countywide, but particularly what's going on in Fairfield. So last year, speaking of crime, we had a pretty good year last year in terms of crime overall in the county. We were down 18% in violent crime and down actually 6% overall countywide. And I always tell people my priority is always going to be violent crimes. So we talk about homicides, robberies, aggravated assaults, rapes. That's always going to be the priority. Not saying that other things are not important, because they are. But, again, for me, I think all of us would agree, I'd rather keep somebody alive than if I had to choose one than somebody getting a car stolen. There's a difference. So that's always going to be our priority in terms of violent crime. So we had a really good year last year. We were down in every category as it pertains to crime last year, with the exception of rapes. We were up rapes just by a few, but other than that, every other category was down. I say that to say, and knock on wood, we're off to a very good start in 2025. One of the things I will say, though, with violent crime, we are up in violent crime currently in the county, but we're only up in one category, and that is robberies. Robberies have been, really been killing us this year, but it's really only two particular situations that have created that disparity compared to last year. Early in the year, we had a robbery series that took place mainly up here, just being transparent with you all, mainly up here off of Byron Street. We had an individual he committed like 7 or 8 robberies, Facebook Marketplace. So I always tell people, be careful. It was advertising on Facebook Marketplace, and when the people would show up, individuals would rob them. We were able to make an arrest. Again, a juvenile, unfortunately, but we made an arrest on that. And then we had another robbery series, particularly in the West End, probably the western part of the county. Individuals going around robbing convenience stores. And he committed about 8 or 9, also did some in Chesterfield as well. And it took us a while before we captured him. So, if you take all those 2 series, our robberies would be down, would be almost even where we were last year. But right now, that category is really elevated in terms of our violent crime for 2025. So right now we're up 5% in violent crime, but overall, countywide, we're down 12% overall crime. So we're doing good, and we're down in every other category. I don't like to talk about homicides, but as you know, Ms. Cooper and I were talking about trying to get Fairfield down in terms of the amount of homicides we've seen over the years in Fairfield. Right now, county is doing very, very well in that category. So I don't like to harp on it because let's just keep the ball rolling, as we say. But I will say this: the county manager mentioned it a little bit in terms of traffic, and talked about the woe vest. We had far too many traffic fatalities last year. We had 12 pedestrian fatalities, and that's why it's so important for us to make sure that, if you're walking or people that do a lot of walking, to be visible. A lot of those could have easily been prevented because for some reason people feel like you can see them at nighttime walking on the roadways, and I can tell you, I've come close to almost hitting people on the roadway because you just cannot see people. And so we got to get the message out and making sure we're passing that along. And if you know people that are doing a lot of walking, the visibility vest does help out a lot in terms of people to be able to see you. And so that's going to be, as you know, traffic is always going to be a focus of ours because, again, if you go on our website, which I encourage you all to do, if you go on our website, you can look up the data as it pertains to certain incidents in the county. You can look up what's happening in Fairfield. You can look up what's happening around the county as it pertains to crime. You can look up what's happening in our schools. All those things are available on our website. If you just go on our website and look at those things. The trend even in schools is changing. It's very cyclical. Many years ago, or a few years ago, it was always our schools, the highest incidence the highest number of incidents were happening in Varina, Holland Springs, Henrico. Now that seems to be changing. Now the schools are Hermitage and Tucker are leading the way in incidents, which is something rare that we've never seen before. Now, I'm not saying I don't want those shifting over to other schools. I want all of them to come down. But it just gives you an idea of how things are changing in terms of how our students are behaving. It is improving somewhat in the East End, even though you may not feel it. It's actually improving in the East End. And so our school resource officers are doing a really, really good job of collaborating with administrators and making sure our school environment is safe as well. So those are some of the things that are occurring. And I can tell you in 2025, I'm just giving you the first 3 months of 2025 in Fairfield. Just in Fairfield alone, crime is down 41% compared to last year in the first 3 months. That is huge. That is huge. And as I mentioned, the only thing we're up in Fairfield as far as crime is robberies. We've had 14 robberies the first 3 months compared to 6 we had last year. Other than that category, everything else is down. Our robberies, our homicides are down, auto thefts are down, burglaries are down significantly. And so we're having a very, very good start to the year, and we hope to continue that trend. We're looking at areas, we've had some technology acquirements in certain areas that have really been beneficial to us, looking at areas that consistently have a lot of gunplay, and being able to make sure we respond to those areas in a quicker fashion. And so some of the technology we use has been beneficial for us in order to do that. So those are some of the things that are just going on right now in Fairfield. And again, I always tell people we all play a role in public safety. It's not just police. We all play a role in that. So I encourage you all not only to look out for one another, but again, we always say, if you see something, say something. Don't just let something go by. You have some gut feeling that something's going on and something's amiss. Make sure you're reporting that, and at least let us check it out. And so we're going to take a look at it to try to prevent something from occurring. So again, I want to thank you all, because again, you all have been very supportive of public safety. I can't thank Reverend Cooper and the board and the county manager for all they've done as far as public safety and providing us the proper resources to get the job done. And the men and women are really working hard. There's still too much gunplay in the county. There's no question about it. But I can tell you that we've taken a lot of guns off the street and prevented a lot of things from occurring just by the activity of our officers. Yes. So when I talk about technology and us being able to respond, we looked at the corridors that having the most gunplay. Mainly along the Burner corridor, right near the raceway, along that area, and along the New Bridge area is where we're seeing a lot of gunplay. And so we do have what we call the gunshot detection systems that allow our officers that once gunfire someone fires a gun, they have the ability to be able to respond immediately to that area based on technology they have. They can pull it up on their phones, where the sound is it goes straight to the officer rather than have to come through a system where you have to get a call. Now, again, we want you all to call. Don't just rely on those detection systems. Now, if you hear gunshots, call us. Don't think we just going to respond. But it does give us an opportunity to respond very, very quickly. And we've had some success because of our response and be able to see people running, being able to pick up shell casings, things of that nature, and also lastly being able to recover some of the firearms that have been used in some of those shootings. Again, as I mentioned, we've had far too much gunplay, and it's just not here in Fairfield. It's countywide. We just had an incident 2 weeks ago, Drury Hotel, West End, over 100 rounds fired in the parking lot in the shootout. Fortunately, again, by God's grace, nobody got hit. Which is almost unbelievable that you had that many rounds fired and nobody got hit. So when you talk about gunplay, it's not just one area in the county. We're having far too much gunplay across this county, and we're trying to work hard to try to mitigate some of those things from occurring and making sure people are staying safe. So that's what's happening right now. Question?
Yes, I want to know, when are they going to start working on Magellan Parkway? I know it's on the plan somewhere, but when they're gonna do something?
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh. Please. Nope, go ahead.
No, okay.
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We're planning on starting construction later this year. We're trying to finish up some right of way. So we plan to start construction this year.
Chief, I'm not sure if you're the one to address this, and I think hopefully you are. Phishing scams. And there's plenty of them out there.
Yes.
Can you give us an idea how we can avoid these things, because they're sucking a lot of us. We're getting trapped in. And if the county isn't providing something that we all can attend, or virtually or whatever, that may be a good idea that we may try to start something like that.
So very, very good question. Talking about phishing scams. And again, Anthony, I'd be more than happy for us to organize something in order for us to have some type of dialogue as it pertains to these scams that are going on. They are very, very prevalent. I would just caution anybody that you have any inkling that something's amiss, just call us and ask us. Call the police and ask if because I get them. The Easy Pass scam, I'm sure some people have gotten that. I've gotten it. If it just doesn't seem right, it ain't right. It ain't right. So I just tell you that. And so they are prevalent. You see a lot of those things. People almost threatening you. Jury duty scams. Those type of things are taking place. It is very prevalent, and they're trying to play on your emotions. I would just caution anybody that if it doesn't feel right, make sure you're contacting us to make sure that we can even tell you whether it's legit or not. But don't just go out there. People are not going to be, most agencies and organizations are not going to be asking you for, your PIN number, your social security number and things of that nature. They're just trying to scam you out of your information. So unfortunately, it has hit many of our residents in Henrico, and people have lost funding because of that. So just make sure you're being very, very cautious when they come across. But we'd be more than happy to organize something for our community for that.
Yeah. So can we do me one favor, just housekeeping wise, the side conversations, can we just keep them at the low? We have people online and we're getting feedback that they're having a hard time to hear. We have almost, I don't know the number, but they're watching online. How many? Okay, thank you. Real quick. So the chief and I have been in discussions about collaboration with the city. A few weeks ago, I attended ribbon cutting for a development on the corner of Chamberlain and Azalea called The Crossings at Mulberry. It's a townhouse community. We're going to have, I think it's about 25 affordable housing units that we're funding with our Affordable Housing Trust. And what people don't understand is at the corner of Chamberlain and Azalea, you cross the street, you're in the city, you cross the street, you're in Henrico. All right. So we talk about development. Let's be clear. I've lived in Henrico County for 40 years. And not this administration, but previous administrations, there was an intentional effort to develop the West before the East. So the west is overdeveloped, Three Chop Tuckahoe, and the east has not been as developed as much. The majority of land available for development in the county of Henrico is in Fairfield District and Varina District. And so there is a increase in development. So we want housing, we want restaurants, we want other activities for leisure. I will say this: we have two members of our Economic Development Authority. Taib, will you stand? Mr. Robert Brown. So Fairfield's EDA representatives are Taib Mallory and Robert Brown. These are the ones that deal with our economic development. Give them a hand. The two of them, our partners. Many of my church members are here today, and they always ask me, Pastor, how come we don't have restaurants on the East End that we can go to sit down and have a good meal? Am I right about that? That's Tyrone Nelson and I went to the county manager and says, this is a problem. And the challenge for us, we can't make people develop. They have to want to develop based upon what they feel is profitability. They base it on what they call rooftops. They look at social economics. They look at, the possibility of what the revenue streams would be. We understand that, but that still doesn't solve our problem. So we went to the manager, we asked him, we need to do something radical and revolutionary. He has decided with our help, we've contacted the 8 major restaurant groups in the Richmond metro region. We're going to have a roundtable with them to ask them, what do we need to do in Eastern Henrico to attract restaurants in this area? Am I telling the truth? So we're working on that. But I say all that to say this. A week before we cut the ribbon on the new townhouses that are starting at $325,000, right across the street at the Marathon gas station was a murder. Unacceptable. The chief and I are going to be working with our counterparts in the city to come together to figure out what we can do collaboratively for that area, for the city and the county, because they can't do it alone. We can't do it alone. We've got to do it together. So, Chief, if you don't mind, before we take any more questions, will you speak to that corridor and some of the efforts now before the efforts you and I are going to undertake with our city partners?
Yeah, so a lot of the activity you see does border our city. And again, as you all know, criminals don't know any boundaries. So they go back and forth between Henrico, the boundaries of that Laburnum Avenue corridor, along Delmont, into the city. Those are the problem areas for us and the city. I can tell you that our detectives and officers, they collaborate with one another. We get data from the city about what's going on in those particular areas. And we've been able to tie some cases together in terms of what's going on and back and forth in those particular areas. And so I work very well with Chief Edwards in Richmond. As you all may well know, I worked with him when I was there. We have a really, really good relationship. I know he's dealing with a lot going on in the city, but I just want to make sure that we're partnering with one another, and our folks are talking to one another to make sure we're able to solve crime and keep it and mitigate those crimes along those borders. And the same thing is happening along 360 corridor as well. As you know, public housing is just right across the bridge. We're seeing a lot of activity as it pertains to that in some of the corridors in the city of Richmond. But I can tell you that collaboratively, we've made a lot of good arrests, locked up a lot of the dangerous folks that are committing a lot of the crimes in those particular locations. But that's the cohesiveness we've had with our counterparts. We do have a really, really good, strong partnership and working relationship with them. And I can tell you, fortunately, we've been able to catch a couple of those folks that have committed shootings in the city as well. As you all know, they just had a homicide in the cemetery just recently. And the bad guy came into the county, and one of our officers was the one that took the guy down. So that was really, and it's all about communication. It was right along the border, and we were able to have some communication. One of our officers spotted the vehicle and was able to take the individual down. So it's those things are really important to us to make sure we have a good, strong working relationship with our partners. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
This question is actually for Reverend Cooper. You were talking about bringing restaurants into the East End. I'm more interested in supermarkets. You've got a new development on Mechanicsville Turnpike, townhouses, apartments. Glenwood Farms is being developed. Are we going to get some sort of a program, a project, collaboration? We need places to buy food. I'm not interested in restaurants. I could go into the city, East End, over by the mall, but I want a place to go and buy food other than Food Lion.
Sure, I really appreciate that question. And so I would say, it's not one or the other, but it's both and so that's why these people here tonight, my Economic Development Authority, because that is important for us as well, looking at food deserts, ensuring that we have access to fresh, affordable food, fresh food. And so, yes, ma'am, we are also looking at not just restaurants, I use that as an example, but also grocery shopping, also retail, also restaurants. So it's a homogenization of all of those, not just one or, but both and you want to speak a little bit more to that?
Sure. So it takes all of it, right? The rooftops are critically important, density. So I've recently had a meeting with 3 of the largest restaurateur groups, and there'll be more that I'll be meeting with Reverend Cooper and Mr. Nelson. So the question is, how can we historically have incentivized businesses like companies that employ folks, manufacturers, factories, if you will. And we've never really looked at restaurants and grocery stores. So we are looking at that. It's a one-off. It's a little unusual for us to, as a government, to be looking at a particular type of restaurant, which is, you know what, we've got enough fast food. We really want some of the quality local restaurants that are operated here. So I met with Chris Sway, Michelle Williams, and Johnny Javos, who owns all the Stella's grocery stores. I don't know if you've ever been to a Stella's grocery store. They're small. They're very popular. And so just stay tuned. There is an effort underway. But ultimately, you know, if you drive to the West End, if you're in Three Chopped, if you're in Short Pump, you can go to how many different places. But, you know, Short Pump and Three Chopped have a lot of development that have caused those retailers to come in and say, you know what, I can compete with 3 other grocery stores and still make a profit. But it is in the works. And with EDA, I want the 2 EDA members here to know I met with Anthony Romanello at 1 o'clock having the same conversation. So you all are involved as well.
So I don't necessarily control speed bumps. I can tell you that we do have administrators that can come out and take a look in that particular area to see if they would qualify for speed humps. I know that we do a lot of traffic enforcement. If you have an area in your community where you feel like we need to be out in your area, we will take care of that. The only thing I caution people on is that I think the county manager mentioned this earlier today. He said there was 350,000 vehicles in Henrico County. That's just in Henrico County. That's not talking about the people that are driving through Henrico County. So while we can address speeding, that's not something we can maintain and sustain for an extended period of time. So, you know, if we're out there and we run radar in your particular area, that doesn't mean we can be out there every day. It doesn't mean we can be out there 24/7. There has to be some other developments that has to take place. And so I can tell you that we are looking at some technology that may assist us in mitigating some of the traffic concerns that you have. But I can tell you this is not just in Henrico. It's a very much a nationwide issue. I don't know what is going on in terms of the mindset of individuals now, but the mindset in driving has really, really drastically changed over the last few years in terms of the speeds we're seeing. And so that is problematic for any of us. You know, we just had a pursuit coming to Henrico County from New Kent. The guy was traveling 140 miles an hour. Those are the things we're seeing. And that's, you know, for us, that's dangerous, even for us to be involved in that, you know, because, you know, is it worth going after somebody 140 miles an hour when they're putting everybody else in jeopardy as well? So, you know, it's a balancing act that we got to make sure we make a smart determination of how hard or how forceful we are in our enforcement. So, you know, we can have somebody come and take a look and see if that's, you know, if that's something that's feasible in your particular location. If I can talk to you afterwards, we can get the area you mentioned. Yes.
Dr. Cooper had mentioned the shooting at the gas station on Azalea and Chamberlain Avenue. But my biggest concern at this point is the motel that's directly across the street from it. There's a lot of drug trafficking. It's like an open drug market right there. I mean, I don't feel safe at the light while I'm waiting to cross over. They're darting back and forth across the street. And I think that something really needs to be done about that particular little motel. That's where it's coming from, the motel and the gas station.
Yeah. It was interesting because, I travel that corridor a lot. As Reverend Cooper said, I'm a Fairfield resident, been in Fairfield for 31 years. And I travel that area, know exactly what you're talking about. I think at one time they were doing some reconstruction there. I thought they was getting ready to knock the place down, to be honest with you. That's what I was hoping anyway. I'm just being honest. But evidently they were trying to do some reconstruction and make it look a little bit better. But that has been problematic for years. That area, that location has been problematic for years. So it's definitely something we can take a look at and to see what crime looks like in that particular area. And it may be something we can have some type of enforcement or some type of letter that goes to that business to put them on notice in terms of what's going on. But you're exactly right. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's always been a problem for us. And honestly, I thought when I first got here, I thought it was in the city, and to realize that side it was in Roscoe County. Yeah, it is. Your front, yep, right, exactly. So it's something we can work on. It's definitely, like you said, it's definitely been an issue. Yeah, you're exactly right.
So to your point, that's a part of it. I've gotten information like certain businesses, they're allowing them to come to businesses, and it's a bigger issue than just the gas station. It's inclusive of the hotel, it's inclusive of the businesses, it's inclusive of the corridor. That's going to be what we're going to talk about. So I want you to know that. We've received two questions via WebEx. The first one was, can we talk about the vape and smoke businesses? So, Mr. Manager, can you tell them what we've done in regards to that, please?
So you all may recall a number of years ago, the county had a proliferation of quickie lend places. You remember you could go and payday loans. You remember the proliferation of payday loan businesses, and ultimately, we needed some state legislation that Senator Bagby, I think, championed, and we were able to put a cap on those. So vape shops, if you go back 10, 12 years, 15 years, there was nothing called a vape shop. I mean, these things didn't exist. People started vaping and using different products as opposed to tobacco. And so there's been a proliferation. The problem that we have is that they've been selling illegal substances in many cases, including marijuana. And then there was a legalization aspect that came about from the state, and the whole issue of, is this legal, is this not, became really murky. So the board asked us to look and say, what is it we can do that as a county we can do to limit vape shops? And so we took a similar approach where you can't one can't locate within X number of feet of another, or a school or a church. And it's basically 1,000 feet in one area, 2,000 feet in another, depending on a school or a church or another vape shop. But the problem that we have, once again, is state law confines what we can or cannot do, because these are, the premises, they're businesses selling products. Well, this is where Chief English and HPD comes in. We have been looking and have found instances where they are selling products that they should not be selling. I know the chief's been working with the Commonwealth's attorney as well, but it seems to be one of these cycles where all of a sudden there are a lot of one business, and then something happens and they go away. I don't know if you all have seen at the corner of Staples Mill and Glenside. That's the Brooklyn Magisterial District. There's actually a vape shop that has the Simpsons on the side of it. And, it's ridiculous, number one. but they wouldn't be there if people didn't go in and buy the product. You know what I mean? So we're doing everything that we can. We'll see if there's anything possible, even more, with state legislation, but ultimately it'll come down to, the chief and his folks coming in and saying, you know what, this is not a legal product, because all the other stuff that they have in there, unfortunately, is legal.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. So the second question was, where is the movie theater on the East End in Henrico? Well, in the Fairfield district, we do have Regal Theaters at Virginia Center Commons. So that is in the Fairfield district, which is considered the East End Fairfield district. We do have one in Fairfield. Thank you, Chief. Come on, let's give the Chief a hand. Thank you. Last but certainly not least is our school board representative, Mr. Ryan Young, and I'm grateful that this is our fifth Fairfield Forum since I became elected, and Mr. Young has been at each and every one of them, giving updates. The last one last year, we did at the POW headquarters, and that was right after the stabbing at Henrico High School, and Mr. Young was there to talk about that, as well as our police partners. So I'm going to thank him for his partnership, as far as his presence and participation. Come on, let's greet Mr. Young as he comes.
All right, there we go. Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? Good, good. I don't know why I'm always last, and he appreciate me. But there you go. There we go. Say the best for last. But speaking to the vaping point, I just went to an event last week before I even get started with this, called Hidden in Plain Sight. And Henrico County offered about 3 or 4 of these programs this year, where in the last one I went to, they had a bedroom set up where different vapes and drugs and how kids had them and what parents need to do to look out for these things, because it's important that kids are ultimately going to make the decision to do right or do wrong. But it's important that we search these kids' bedrooms. We go through, we get involved. That cell phone doesn't belong to your child. That room doesn't belong to your child. But this event was extremely good for the community, and I'm glad that HCPS finally offers this. A lot of community partners as well, but vaping, it is an issue, and it's attractive to a kid. When they see Simpsons on the side of a building, they want to know what's in there, right? When you look at them signs, they're bright, they light up the entire neighborhood sometimes. So I'm thankful that HCPS, we saw this, and we kind of got on and we're offering this Hidden in Plain Sight overview every single month. But I'm gonna go ahead and get started right now. My name is Ryan Young. I'm the Fairfield District School Board Representative. Right now, we're getting ready for SOL testing. We've tested the entire week last week. We're doing some testing again this week, and then we'll do some retesting the following week. So to get things started out, we're gearing up for graduation ceremonies. For each of the high school divisions, comprehensive high schools will be held for the second year at Henrico Sports and Entertainment Center. For all of my Warrior families in here tonight, graduation is scheduled for May 29th, 3 p.m. right there at the Henrico Sports Center. If we have any Hermitage graduates, it's May 28th at 10:30. Glen Allen High School will be May 28th at 7:30, and then Highland Springs High School will be May the 29th at 7:30 p.m. The Fairfield District does feed all of those high schools in some fashion. We do feed all of those high schools. So graduation is next month. I'm looking forward to sharing the stage with Reverend Cooper again as we deliver our remarks for the class going out for 2025. Okay. All right, next up, as I said, it's been an exciting and busy school year. Building on HCPS tradition of excellence this fall, we opened our first middle school center for innovation at John Rolfe Middle School, where students can tap into the creativity, participate in hands-on projects, explore business and STEM-related careers, and through a special partnership with VCU's Da Vinci Center for Innovation and various local businesses and community groups, students are learning from experienced professionals in high-profile fields. This is a middle school specialty center that opened in the East End, and it feeds Wilder Middle School all the way east. Our next one will be at Quioccasin Middle School, which will feed Brooklyn West once it opens, and the queue is getting ready to be built next year. I think we're breaking ground on a new Quioccasin Middle School, but this school of innovation that's at Rolfe It's an amazing school. They take specialized classes, math and sciences combined. They don't take it individually. History and English is combined. They don't take that individually. So it's a really good program that's STEM focused for our kids. And it's a lottery system. So it's not dependent on if you have all A's or anything else. It's a lottery system to get into that, which is really good. And I'm excited about that program being in the East End for us. One of the most exciting things that Reverend Cooper loves is the Academy at Virginia Randolph. And this is going to be extensive because I want y'all to hear some of the information on Virginia Randolph. It's getting rebuilt and redone right now, and it's being renovated. But I want y'all to get this information. So I'm going to read it to you. All right. The renovated ACE Center at Virginia Randolph opens its doors recently, along with a 2-story expansion to the Academy at Virginia Randolph. The campus now includes flexible learning spaces and a state-of-the-art classroom. Work is continuing on some other buildings. The original AVR facility was comprised of 14 buildings, which equated to almost 126,000 square feet of educational space. The oldest building was built in 1929 and was an active part of the Virginia Randolph High School. 8 campus-style buildings were added in 1958 and 1960. And 2 more buildings were added in the late 70s. And reviewing the program to be included in the upgraded facility, it was determined that a new comprehensive school building was the best course of action to replace the campus-style building from the 50s and 60s. It is also decided that the oldest building, Building B, built in 1929, would remain as part of Virginia Randolph's legacy and to be connected to the new structure. The 2 buildings dating to the late 70s were also selected to remain and be utilized for the ACE Center, which received an addition. Upon completion, the new updated campus will have 5 buildings encompassing almost 170,000 square feet. As far as the timeline is concerned, construction for this project began late summer of 2023 with the demolition of the campus-style buildings and the construction of the new school structure. The top image on the slide is Mosley Architects' schematic rendering of the new building, and the bottom image is an area of the construction site to date. So that building at the bottom is completed. And right now we do have some students that have moved into the facility. So it's an amazing time over at Virginia Randolph. Also, this slide outlines the timeline as we are nearing substantial completion of the new building. Students currently on site at AVR moved into the areas of the new building right after spring break. The students were located at other schools during construction process will move to the facility in the summer. So by the time this is all said and done, we hope to open the brand new facility and the renovated center January of 2026 when they come back from their winter break. So can we give it up for our new building? And I want to touch on what's in that building because some people just think it might just be like a school. So let me just read off the programs that's there. Elementary Innovation Program, PACE program, the Academy at Virginia Randolph. We will offer telehealth services, after school opportunities. We'll have a full family and community engagement resource center there. As we continue, we have the ACE program. ACE has skyrocketed. ACE is our Center for the Advanced Career Education Center, but it's career technical education. And it's skyrocketed by 300% since the renovations with high demand programs like heavy equipment operation, diesel tech, fire sprinkler installation, and motorsports. This facility will have a fire sprinkler installation there in which the kids can actually work and operate on it and turn it on. And the water will come out inside the building. Hopefully the draining works, right? But this is amazing. This is some of the opportunities that Henrico County offers that maybe you don't know about, that our kids have opportunities to start getting trades at an early age, work through. Maybe school isn't for everybody. I hear some hand claps. And CT is always close to my heart. My dad is a construction worker, so I know what it's like to work with your hands. I know what it's like to get out there and fill that concrete up and deliver it and lay bricks, and I chose to go to college, right? But my dad made a living off of it, and I love the fact that our kids are making a living off it now. We have signing day tomorrow, and let me just explain what CTE signing day is. We have companies come out, our kids sit down, and they actually sign a letter saying they're going to go work for this company, and that boss, he's in there, that owner's in there, and they sign and they put their hats on just like they're in the NBA or the NFL, and they pick in the school, and it's amazing how many kids sign to go work and have an apprenticeship program that they can go right out of high school, right in, get a trade, start making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 right out of high school by working with your hands. And it's amazing that we here in Henrico County, we have the best CTE program in the nation. Like, this is no exaggeration. Mac Baden, our CTE guy, every week he's gone to deliver some sort of message across the nation on how good CTE is in Henrico County Public Schools. So I just want y'all to know that part. Virginia Randolph, I cannot wait until we go tour it. I'm hesitant to go see it before it's all the way done, but I'm gonna get over there. And I hope this guy right here joins me. Now, speaking of new things, this is the one thing that I'm probably most excited about right now. And this is the Center for Cybersecurity that's coming to Henrico High School. HCPS students interested in protecting the world's data from hackers and cyber criminals will have an immersive option when we launch our new Cybersecurity Center at Henrico High School in 2026-2027. Students who attend the center will not only graduate with a high school degree and industry certifications, but they'll also be within shouting distance of a degree from the center partner, ECPI University. The school division is working with ECPI and industry leaders to create a program that will put HCPS students in position to take advantage of the industry's growth. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics projects that the nation will add nearly 60,000 information security analyst positions by 2033. The median pay in 2023 was $120,360. In addition to math, students at the center will study cybersecurity programming and data science and will get a broader view through humanitarian and social science courses like human geography, history, and comparative government. Juniors and seniors will take an in-depth college-level course to delve deeper and prepare to earn a Security Plus and Network Plus certifications through Computer Technology Industry Association. Can we clap it up for getting the newest Center for Cybersecurity? I don't think y'all realize that when these kids graduate high school, if you graduate from this program, you will start out making $80,000 a year before going to school. If you go to school, you can further that. But we're getting that right here in our backyard, right here at Henrico High School. And it's important that I mention this, and I'm probably going to keep mentioning it every chance I get, is our students need to know about these opportunities. They need to know that they can do these things. You're not limited to the school that's in your district. We have a lot to offer here in Henrico County Public Schools, and my job is to make sure everybody knows about it, everybody applies for it, and that we get our kids accepted into these programs where they can really and truly excel at what they do. So I'm excited about this. This is one of the things that I wanted to do. It wasn't my first choice, I will be honest, but this was brought to me second, and I said, no, we have to go with this route. We have to. And I'm just so thankful that we was able to get this up and running. Application starting this fall. They can start applying, and it opens up next year. Coming towards the end, as a school board, my colleagues and I are committed to making sure our students have access to the programs, resources, and teachers needed to be successful today and in the future. Over the last 5 years, we've added additional teachers, school counselors, instructional assistants, and support staff. So I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into the budget. I'm not sure what Mr. Vitokis spoke about, but I just want to highlight some of the things that's in our HCPS budget this year. So we have 53 school security officers, and then we have new security officers to support student and staff safety at all our schools, in particular focus on outdoor campuses. Pastor Cooper spoke about the last time I spoke to you what happened at Henrico High School. All of our outdoor campuses, we're now increasing security there. So your Brooklyn Middle Schools, your Fairfields, your Henrico High Schools, your Varandas, all are getting additional security officers to help secure our programs and our schools just a little bit more. We've added 5 more school counselors to support the second year implementation of the Henrico Cares program. 83 positions associated with providing planning time for our elementary schools, more English as a second language instructional staff, 52 positions to support extended programming at the campus at Virginia Randolph, new and increased extracurricular sponsorship stipends for our employees. These are our coaches, our drama clubs, all of our extracurricular coaches, and everybody is getting an increase in their pay. We've expanded the eligibility for participation in the career ladder. Expansion included classified staff and leadership and employee raises 6% across the board salaries for all returning full-time HCPS employees. Teachers have received 54% increase over the past 10 years in HCPS. Additionally, More than 1,000 support staff members, including instructional assistants, custodian workers, maintenance assistants, school nutrition services staff will receive a market adjustment that will bring their total salary increases this year anywhere from 13.9% to 19.3%. So we're taking care of everybody. We're taking care of everybody, and it's important. This is the backbone of the school. Our custodians is the backbone, making sure that students come to a clean building every day. IAs, working with our special education students, they deserve to be paid. Our front office staff, we can't do it all at one time, but every chance we get, we are definitely chipping away at increasing everybody's salary and making sure that they feel like they are valued, and they are with HCPS. And finally, I'm proud of everything that we have accomplished this year. I can't wait to see what we do next year. Continue to support your schools, show up to your schools, volunteer in your schools, be those mentors. I know we got some hot topics that, people love to talk about, like cell phones. So we'll touch on that real quick. We just reviewed a new cell phone policy, which is pretty much a bell-to-bell cell phone ban. So students in high school will no longer, here's some hand claps. We haven't voted on it yet, but it was presented and it was recommended to us that we'll do a bell-to-bell cell phone ban on the students. So they no longer, right now, they can't have them during instructional time, but they can have them during lunch. They can't have them when they change classes. That would be the only change, is they would no longer be able to pull them out during lunch or during that transition, which ultimately, oh, did I cut that off? I'm sorry. It timed out on me. But ultimately, that just leads to better instructional time, right? More learning. We notice that kids are now talking to each other. Imagine that, right? Lunchrooms are louder. Imagine that, right? So the cell phone, we vote on it on June. But other than that, I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you for listening to me. If you have any questions, I'll be here after. I don't know how much time we have. Do we have a little bit of time? If anybody have any questions, I'll stick around if you don't. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, here we go. She said, thank you, teacher. Please do. All right. Well, y'all have a good night. I'll stick around if you have any questions. Reverend Cooper's coming back up.
Well, before you leave, we want to say thank you all for coming out tonight. This is the first of 4 town halls and Fairfield Forums. We thank all of our staff members who came after work to be here tonight. Our school board, thank you. Listen, be safe, have a good night. Look forward to seeing the next one. Good night, everyone.